Now, finally, a student of some senior high schools in the Ashanti region are yet to report to school, though their teachers are back from nationwide teacher union strike. Many of the students, according to authorities, return home owing partly to the recent shortages of food supply in most senior high schools. At the Kumasi Senior Technical School, over 300 final year students have since not returned to school after the Eid break. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku has more.
On any normal school day, the Kumasi Secondary Technical School buzzes with lots of students on campus, but the situation has been different for the past week. Student attendance at the school has been low since resumption from the Eid holiday. Students numbering over 300 are yet to report to school, with majority of the absentees being final year students. Andrew Boateng is the headmaster of KSTS.
The Form 2s, they ended their semester last Friday. So we did a reopening today for the Form 2s because they are starting their second semester. So they were almost full class. But the Form 3s, out of the 1,000 plus, at least more than 300 are not here. When they finished their mock, and because of the teachers' strike, some took advantage. You know, around that time that we also have the Muslim holiday. So they took advantage, took a jet and went home.
Teachers at the school are presently racing against time to adequately prepare students for the WASI, which begins in a month's time. But authorities fear the one-third absence of final year students might affect the general performance of the students in the external exam. The school is therefore urging parents and guardians to allow their wards to report to school.
Teachers have resumed work. They are in school teaching. But the students, most of the Form 3 students are not here. Some left officially, they took a jet. Some also went home without a jet. Now teachers have resumed, they need the student to teach them. So I'm appealing to the parents to send their wards back to school, because now full staffs are coming, we have food to feed them. So they should come, because WASI is very close. At least by the end of this month, we start the practicals. Come September 1st, we'll start the written papers. So I'm appealing to parents to send their wards to the school. Teachers want to discuss mock, teachers want to teach them, to prepare them for the incoming WASI.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Now we can now speak to Bright Kweku, who has been monitoring some schools in the Ashanti region. Bright, what have you gathered as far as final year students returning to school is concerned?
Reported to school since the Eid break, or when the strike was called off. But interactions with some of the headmaster, as you saw in the reports, he indicated that his students are yet to report to school. He particularly pointed out that it's because of the strike and then even some of the food shortages and then the Eid break that caused some of them to formally seek for permission to go home, and even some of them even breaking bounds out of school. So in Kumasi currently, in the school that you saw, some final year students are yet to report to school. That is according to the headmaster I interacted with.
But is it only peculiar to this school, or what's the situation in other schools?
Okay, we've not yet gone to other schools, but particularly in this particular school, that was the concern the headmaster raised. He was saying that his students have not reported to school yet due to the strike and then even the food shortage. So it's peculiar to this particular school. We are yet to go to other schools and then find out more if the final year students are yet to report.
So if this was partly because of food shortage, what's the situation now? We heard the ministry say some food items had been distributed to some schools. What is the situation?
All right, so Kojo, on Monday, the headmasters of these schools went to the buffer stock in the region to take their portion of meals or food items they needed. On Monday, about 32 schools in the region went to the buffer stock to take stocks of their food items, including some bags of rice. Particularly with my engagement with this particular headmaster, he told me most of the schools went to the buffer stock because they had no rice at the moment. So they went there to take rice. But he particularly had 2 weeks stock of rice. So he didn't go, but he went for other items like the mackerel. So he went to the buffer stock to take mackerel, but the other schools went there for rice and other commodities as well. So in Kumasi currently, some of the schools have received, as indicated by the headmaster. So some of the schools have received their meals from the buffer stock.
So what are the plans to get these students back to schools, because they have exams around the corner? Bright, I'm trying to find out from you whether we are aware of plans by these schools to get the students back to school.
He particularly used a medium to he particularly used a medium to get these students back to class. I think he has called some of the parents to find out why the students are not reporting, but he wanted to use a larger platform like ours to reach out to some of the parents to make their wards come to school. Since, you know, the food shortage became a serious case in the country, and then even the teacher strike coupling that made some of the students leave. So he is actually calling on the parents to allow their wards to come to school so that they can prepare the students adequately for the imminent WASSCE.
Thank you. Now, Ghana is expected to begin the issuance of digitized visas to foreigners by the end of August. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey says the new visa system will make it practically impossible to make counterfeit. Michael Ashley has more in the following report.
Hitherto, foreigners applying for a Ghanaian visa had to visit the consular and then fill many pages of documents. That is expected to change with the installation of a new visa system at the airport and at various foreign missions. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey says the new visa will be difficult to fake and will fast-track acquisition.
This is going to make it very easy for people to come. It is going to also make sure that people cannot fake our visas, because the current visa stickers we use are handwritten at the missions abroad. So really, it's a problem. It's a major problem for us, where some people are even able to fake visas, and it's difficult for us to detect. Now, this will be a thing of the past. Or it will be rolled out almost immediately. I'm sure that in the next month or so, it will be rolled out. It will be rolled out first from our big missions, where we have huge numbers of applications, and then it will be extended to other missions. But I believe that with immigration, it will start after the test run and all of that.
According to her, the new visa issuance system brings the country a step closer to issuing e-visas.
Eventually, I see it as the first step towards eventually, when we have a good database, when we have people who are frequent visitors, and we know them. So at some point, the decision will be made, working together with the Immigration Service, whether we can now proceed to electronic visas, because then we know that we have a good database. It is safe for us to do this.
Head of Public Affairs at the Ghana Immigration Service, Amakwata, says the new visas will put the Immigration Service at a better position to prevent blacklisted persons and terrorists from entering the country, as the new system synchronizes the information from all the foreign missions.
Current process, which this new system is coming to replace, is that you walk into a mission in the UK, you fill some forms, then the consular officer in our mission will make a determination and issue the visa. But meanwhile, at the point of entry in Ghana, the immigration officer doesn't know who is coming with the kind of information that has been provided. So maybe in the UK, he may give an address as Mr. A. He comes here and says Mr. B. So now this system is going to help us to synchronize information from our missions and information that hit our servers from the mission. So if you should change or alter your information on the card, you become a suspect for us to further interrogate you. So in fact, it is going to improve on security and safeguard our borders against infiltrations.
The new system, when rolled out, will first be available in London and Germany, but the equipment will be installed at the Kotoka International Airport later this week. Ghana's immigration officers will be trained on how to use it this week. For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
Now, artisans and spare part dealers at Swami Magazine could soon heave a sigh of relief as contractors working on the Swami Runabout Afrancho Road work around the clock to complete rehabilitation works. Officials of Joshua Construction say at least 1.5 kilometers of asphalt overlay will be completed this Friday. Ohim Interior reports.
The deplorable Swami Roundabout Afrancho stretch of the main Kumasi Techiman Road has been a subject of series of street protests by artisans and spare parts dealers at Swami Magazine. Angry artisans protesting over delays in fixing the pothole-riddled road attacked the Member of Parliament for the area and Majority Leader, Pastor Chairman Sabuzu, who was meeting leadership of the artisans. What appeared a reactionary visit by the Member of Parliament for Swami to the concerns of his constituents over the tribal rules turned hostile. The angry artisans pelted the MP's entourage with sachet water and other items until a police team, led by the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, whisked the MP away in a police vehicle. The road contractors, Joshua Construction Limited, who abandoned the site over acute shortage of bitumen, have since returned to site, promising to complete an asphalt overlay on at least 1.5 kilometers of the stretch this Friday. Moses Nakoli is an asphalt foreman at Joshua Constructions.
We want to see the portals from the beginning. So tomorrow we'll spray the asphalt. So the asphalt will start on Friday morning. That's why we are here. We are going to lay the asphalt because after we do we cover the potholes finish. From the pothole finish, we need to sweep, we blast, then we spray the bitumen first layer, so that the following day, because here is asphalt layer. So now we receive the bitumen.
Officials of Joshua Construction are promising to work around the clock in what they describe as progressive construction timetable.
You have patience, because some are my father, some are my brothers. Then what is going on? It's not the problem for the MP, it's problem for the contractor. The bitumen, like we have everything, that problem shouldn't come. So they should have patience, everything will be okay.
This perhaps will come as a relief to artisans and traders of Swami Magazine, who until now were faced with dusty roads. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohim Interior reporting.
Ohim Interior has been there this morning to find out how work is progressing, and he's been interacting with some of the people at the Swami Magazine.
They are not stopping until they are done with the construction of the road and network here in Swami Magazine. So for the artisans and the spare parts dealers, they are yet to receive this information. And as you can see, I'm in face mask because of the dusty nature of the road. Just a few minutes ago when we arrived, the road network used very dusty, but some minutes ago I saw a truck, trying to water the road here. Yesterday, this is where the contractor and the workers were trying to fix the particular stretch. So what they have done now is to make it a way for the spraying and then the application of asphalt overlay beginning Friday in this regard. Say yes, indeed, things are happening. The artisans are not even aware of the situation here. So let me speak to this gentleman here. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. My name is Mahmoud Aziz. I'm speaking from Swami.
Okay. So are you aware that the contractor says he will start the application of asphalt overlay come this Friday? Are you aware?
I'm not aware. Then the last Friday ago, the demonstration that took over at Swami Magazine, and the Honorable Chairman is able to come and plead to the Swami constituency that they will come and do the road for us. And yesterday we were here, and the contractor just come and just clean the road that he come to start. But as this morning I'm talking to you, the contractor couldn't bother. He will come to check whether the dust is going on, whether off or on, and they just come now and just water the road for us. But here we are suffering. We are suffering a lot. We are suffering a lot. How the dust is over us, we are suffering. Even when we come to market, our things, dust come on it, even someone come to purchase and see, he don't want to buy.
Okay, so people think that your battery here, the car batteries are old. Is that what you are saying? Because they are all covered in dust.
Yeah, you're all covered in dust. So when someone comes, they think it's old, but it's brand new batteries.
And how is this seriously impacting on your business?
It has made my business it's just decreasing. It's just decreasing down. How things was going forward, they just, as they cut short the road, they just doing things slowly. And market is not going as we are expected it will be.
So on Monday, when there was demonstration and people started throwing sachet water and other items on the Member of Parliament, Honorable Chairman Sabusu and his entourage, were you among the people who did this?
I will not amount, but I saw the roaming about, and when it came to news, I saw it, but it was not my zeal to go there and do that kinds of things because...
Were you actually in support of what they did?
Oh, what they did, I'm not supporting, but it proved to our leaders that they would do something for the nation.
Okay. So now, do you believe that the contractor will surely complete the work once he is back on site?
Please, I just know that they are just pampering and they are just playing with Ghanaians. That's what I know, because this work they come and done it has caused a big accident at Bramaya Bushiakrua, and someone has lost his loss, and the family members has lost their relative. So I just know that they are playing with the nation, they are playing with the city. They don't care about us. Our leaders, they don't care about us. That's why I know.
Okay, so this gentleman from Swami Magazine, we are reaching you live from the Matthias Junction here in Swami Magazine. And the gentleman we just spoke to thinks that politicians are playing with the hearts of Ghanaians, especially when the road construction here, it has been awarded to a contract, and the contractors are expected to work. They've delayed, and it has cost the life of somebody. And so he thinks that, yes, it's not going the way they expect. And so let me speak to this man here. Good morning.
Morning, Maza.
I didn't know I wash your face mask.
And foot on you, say you're quaning yet. Burn my to me, oh, yeah, Yalian Kwan, Yan Wahan say. Tiasra binding and paying for. And can you say, Chairman Sasia Serena? They say I won't cheer.
Okay, Ben, he says he's in face mask because of the dusty nature of the road here. His shop is just by the roadside here, and because of the dust, he's unable to.
So that's our Himing Teria, who was at Swami for us this morning. Moving on to other stories. Minority in Parliament is alleging that government fight against Galamsey is disproportionately discriminating against Ghanaian citizens. According to ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, some Galamsey operators who were arrested on a concession belonging to Anglo Gold Ashanti were tortured and brutalized without being taken through due legal process.
Disturbing reports on the treatment meted out to suspected illegal miners who were arrested on the premises of Anglo Gold Ashanti, a mining company in Obuasi, by military officers. We are well informed that on the 15th of July, the military arrested some suspected illegal miners on the Anglo Gold field and subjected them to torture, inhumane treatment, abuse of their human rights, amongst others. The minority find this development most unfortunate, disturbing, and we strongly condemn the use of brute, excessive, and disproportionate force in the so-called fight against illegal mining. This flagrant disregard of our laws and constitution under the Akufo-Addo-led government is most unfortunate and must be roundly condemned in the strongest terms possible. We find this incident despicable. We find this incident unfortunate. And we find this incident highly reprehensible. Even more disturbing is the fact that the Akufo-Addo-led government has remained mute following this incident. This is a heinous crime meted out to ordinary Ghanaians. You and I would agree that the level of unemployment is at an all-time high. And so even as we claim that we are fighting against illegal mining, it ought to be done in accordance with law. We would not countenance any attempt by this government using military force to brutalize, maltreat, and subject ordinary Ghanaians to inhumane treatment.
According to John Jinapo, government is treating foreigners who are destroying the country's water bodies with kid gloves. They are also demanding an independent probe into the alleged torture.
Even as they do this, they have turned a blind eye to foreigners. Whilst they are chasing Ghanaians, pursuing Ghanaians, and brutalizing the ordinary Ghanaian, foreigners are always being treated with kid gloves. And in some instances, the law is compromised to favor these foreigners when they fall foul within the laws as far as the mining sector is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, you will recall the infamous incident involving a Chinese Galamsey queen known as Aisha Wang, following her arrest for her involvement in illegal mining. Rather than prosecuting her to serve as a deterrent to others, the state unilaterally and surprisingly discontinued the case in court on a very flimsy and baseless excuse, as was said by Mr. Osafo-Maafo. The Ghana stood to have economic gains from releasing the suspects. This clearly demonstrates the double standard being practiced by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government. The minority therefore wish to call on government, particularly the Minister for Defense, the Minister for Interior, and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, to, as a matter of urgency, constitute an impartial, credible investigation into this dastardly act, and whoever is found culpable must face the full rigors of the law. Ghana is governed by the Constitution, we are governed by the rule of law, and the minority would not sit unconcerned for some few people to mishandle and demean the very basic rights of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Now, JoyNews earlier cited footage pointing to possible military brutality of some Ghanaians believed to be engaging in illegal mining, popularly referred to as Galamsey. Truly sad there. Let's see how this goes. But this morning, stay away from bats, avoid hugging and shaking hands. That's the warning of the Ghana Health Service as it rolls out an enhanced containment plan to prevent the spread of the deadly Marburg virus in Ghana. At least 2 people have been killed by the virus, with close to 100 contacts placed under strict surveillance. The country's response program to the disease has been threatened by the widespread ignorance on the condition among the population. The Ghana Health Service says it is on a hunt to unravel the source of the virus in the country. Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bekwin is head public health at the service. Now, he says that the service has activated a containment plan to prevent a further spread.
Contact. Now, the contacts are into 2 groups. There's a group that was in Ashanti region. So that they were 50. So technically, they have gone through their maximum incubation period of 21 days. So technically, they have been discharged. Now we are looking to the one in Solar. So hopefully, I think they will be discharged tomorrow, because they would have also gone through the 21 days of monitoring. So we are still looking, but let me say that what we are doing now is merely trying to identify as many contacts as possible. So we keep on asking questions, probing to see whether there are areas that the cases would have gone to that we missed. And so that's what we keep on combing. So we keep on combing. So if you see any more contacts, it's because we are exploring more.
Right.
We want to be sure that we break the transmission. Our main goal is containment at source, so that we don't want to spill over to other districts. We have had a lot of, we are actually doing this response with our partners. And the issues about base communication is going to be rolled up to the nation so that people in Accra, Takoradi hear about it. But we also want to make sure that the issues about case management is what has the better of the COVID-19. We train a lot of clinicians in the COVID-19, monkeypox, and biomagnetic. So we are making use of it. Try to make sure that we have isolation places earmarked. So assuming we get cases outside, that's where they'll be managed. So basically, those are the key things that we're doing as a service, while we try to expand this.
Now, even while this continues, virologist at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. Michael Owusu, is cautioning people to stay away from butts, avoid hugging and shaking hands.
In a short while, once Marburg is becoming a problem, I will not be surprised that vaccines will be designed very soon to help curb some of this. But in the meanwhile, whilst vaccines are not available and drugs are not available, I think the precautionary measures are very important. The COVID protocols, ensuring you wash your hand, ensuring that you limit the intake of bushmeat, especially in the communities affected, as much as you can. You have to reduce intake of bushmeat, especially things like bats, to try and then avoid it as much as you can. And also be vigilant to report cases to the healthcare facility. If somebody is bleeding, somebody is vomiting, and you don't seem to know what is causing it, just report to the facility, get the person there and get them handled. And when somebody dies in your community, you don't keep the body and handle it in the way you want. So you expect the community to cooperate with the healthcare official. If this person that has died, the symptoms qualify as something that is due to viral hemorrhagic fever disease, and therefore your body will be kept from you and be further investigated. You don't have to get angry. You have to cooperate, because these are not normal times.
So let's return to the COVID times. Don't shake hands, don't hug as well. Two other stories: there are growing calls for an overhaul of the operations of the ambulance service following revelations from the public probe of circumstances leading to the death of a pregnant woman in January. The 30-year-old mother, Augustina Awatri, lost her life allegedly due to delays on the part of the ambulance crew transporting her to Accra from Takoradi. Whilst answering questions before the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating the issue, CEO of the ambulance service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria, admitted his officers demanded 600 cedis from husband of the deceased, but he challenges claims the delay resulted in the death of the pregnant woman.
This was a lady who from day one was in some form of shock. Obviously, it will have started with neurogenic shock, and whatever the case, it will have moved into cardiogenic shock. And when they got to Commander Junction and they realized that the patient's condition was deteriorating, they had to branch to Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. There, obviously, the challenge they had was because they hadn't called before coming, definitely the hospital was not ready to accept the patient. So they had to spend some time trying to negotiate acceptance of this particular case. Eventually, in the course, the woman's condition got worse. She deteriorated and went into cardiorespiratory arrest. And some resuscitation was done, but obviously unsuccessful. And the woman eventually passed on. So from the narration we had, from the investigations were part of, this were the chronology of events that led to the death of the patient.
Now, this development has outraged many members of the public who are calling for an overhaul of the ambulance system. Some of them called into the morning show and shared harrowing experiences with the service.
I remember one time there was an accident and they called the ambulance service. When they came, the person was in blood, lying, and then what they tell us is we should pay before. Kojo, I got hold of myself. I will have thrown blow. We called you, you had the petrol to come, but I don't have the petrol to pick the person to the hospital. That was very terrible. In fact,
so what happened? What did you do?
We got motorbike. This same motorbike, they say it is not good. We got a motorbike and then we picked the person to the hospital.
Back on campus, University of Ghana, deep in the night, I was feeling unwell. So what I did was that I called the ambulance service. And then what they told me was that, hey, I better pick a taxi and find myself into a hospital.
That's what the ambulance service told you?
Yes. And look, because it was just about 1 a.m. So what I did eventually was that I had to struggle and then get out of the hall. And thankfully, some of the boys had gone to the nightclub, they went partying, and they had returned in an Uber. And then that saved me. So that's how terrible the situation is.
Yes, I'm a health worker, and where I work from, before we refer a case from our facility to maybe a teaching hospital, we charge 100 cedi from the ambulance services. And the most sad thing about it is that it's not only the ambulance services that delay the services. Even the referring center, maybe Kolebu will tell you there's no bed. And then you get there and there's bed. They will delay you. Sometimes you'll be referring cases and you spend more than 3 hours. And these things have to be dealt with because it is unbecoming.
Okay. Yes, I have a personal experience. Last year, August, for lack of oxygen in the ambulance, I lost my mom. I lost my mom.
On the 12th of June, my brother had an accident, and then the case was very bad. So when we rushed into the Damango Teaching Hospital, they told us to buy fuel so that they could move him from the hospital there to the teaching hospital. So I had to contact my uncle, Mr. Gerard, before we could raise that money because at that instance we didn't have that money on us. But unfortunately, when they took him there, he passed away.
Now, brother of former President John Evans Atamels is furious with government for allowing the Atamels Institute tamper with the grave of the former president. The NGO run by Kojo Anyidoho says they are rehabilitating the Asomdwe Park, which has the mortal remains of the former president. According to brother of the former president, Samuel Atamels, who is also MP for KEA constituency, he says it goes against all customs to allow the NGO make changes to the grave without recourse to the family. My colleague Akable has been to the site to find out what has been happening there. He joins us live from there to paint a picture of what's happening. Akable, what can you report with regards to accusations that former President Mills' grave is being tampered with?
Well, what we can report is that there is currently some renovation that is ongoing, and those who are undertaking the renovation explain that it forms part of activities that will mark a 10-year anniversary that will be marked on July 24. We understand there will be a special event that will be held here, and the President, Madam Kakufado, in the Park. In terms of the claims that the body has been tampered with, those responsible for the construction here say that it is untrue, and that it is simply a wooden covering that was taken off to make way for a more permanent structure to be put above it as part of the construction effort. They say that there are some family members who are close to the former president who are quite aware of this particular construction work that is ongoing. And so they have expressed surprise at the claims that the remains of the former president has been tampered with.
If they said a wooden covering, is that covering the coffin itself or from which part?
It covers the structure itself in terms of portions of the grave. So there is a wooden covering over it. That is what they said has been taken off and replaced with a more permanent structure. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So that's my colleague Akable there. Now, the 2019 batch of the registered nurse assistant clinicals and preventives have cancelled an intended demonstration scheduled for Wednesday, 20th July over non-posting since graduating from school. According to them, they have engaged the appropriate authorities for a long time without any meaningful response. So what caused the cancellation? Charles Apandago is the national president of the association and joins us live on Zoom. Charles, thank you so much for your time. What brought about the cancellation?
Okay, thank you, Stu.
The cancellation of the demonstration was based on a meeting that was scheduled by Miss Madam Perpetua, that is the JRMA president. Yes. So I just had the invitation now, and then I said no. If Mother is calling us, then we can't do the demonstration. We have to call off the demonstration and go and listen to whatever she has to tell us and see if it will bring. Yes, so that is the reason why we canceled the demonstration.
But do you take the decisions alone, or you take decisions with a team?
Yes, the decisions were taken by the other leaders. It wasn't me. The moment I had an invitation, I just quickly informed them, and then they also accepted it. Yes, they also accepted it. So we even invited the police, and then also told the police the same thing. Yes, and
so what is this meeting?
Accepted it to go back.
What is this meeting supposed to do? Because you've said earlier that you've met with relevant authorities, no meaningful response has come out of it. So what is this meeting expected to achieve?
Actually, at least what we are expecting at the end of the meeting, at least we are expecting that Miss Madam Perpetua will tell us something positive, that it will calm everybody down, and then also wait till maybe the time that he will say. Yes, because this meeting, we know and pray that something better is coming out of it. Something better is coming out of it. So that is why we are holding on the demonstration. So that is this, yeah.
Okay, so this Madam Perpetual is the president for the Ghana Registered Nurses Association, right?
Yes, please.
Now, you have met with the Ministry of Health. Nothing came out. How confident are you then that meeting the Registered Nurses Association president will rather bring about what you're looking for?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, for her, we have never met her. And she's one of the persons that normally, in times of like this, they help us in talking to the government, especially the Ministry of Health, so that they will just grant what the nurses especially need. Yeah, so we saw it, the need that when we involve her in this time, maybe she may also try and then help us and talk to the ministry as well.
Okay, all right. So let's see how this goes. Grateful for your time here. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you the latest from the world of business. This is still the news desk on Joy News. Stay with us.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. The Bank of Ghana says there has been an increase in the number of complaints lodged against licensed institutions in respect of products, services, and practices. As part of sensitization efforts, the central bank has engaged officers of the Western Region Ghana Immigration Service on banking services and consumer rights and responsibilities. The event was to increase awareness on key financial consumer protection issues to enhance customer confidence in the banking sector.
The bank explains that most of these complaints have bordered on issues such as non-disclosure of key information, wrongful application of interest on loans, imposition of unexplained charges, payment of remittance to wrong beneficiaries, and other forms of financial fraud. But according to the bank, a critical observation made from the complaints is the knowledge gap in financial and banking-related issues on the part of some consumers of financial products and services. Western Regional Manager of Bank of Ghana, Kofi Hassan, intimated that it is therefore imperative that stringent efforts are made to create the needed awareness to boost consumer confidence.
As the regulators of the banking sector, the objective of this sensitization program is to increase awareness on key financial financial consumers are key players in the financial sector. This explains why the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930, places a responsibility on the Bank of Ghana to develop appropriate consumer protection measures to ensure that the interests of customers of banks and SDIs are adequately protected, whilst improper practices of banks and SDIs are dealt with.
Head of External Dispute Resolution, Bank of Ghana, Reverend Kwesi Chum, spoke of the critical role the Ghana Immigration Service plays in the fight against money laundering and other cross-border crimes, for which reason the knowledge on the financial sector should always be enhanced.
The nation is blacklisted, so that's why we need to all understand that money laundering issue is very crucial, okay, to the nation. Other than that, we cannot do anything. With the rest of the world, we are cut off.
The CSIR College of Science and Technology has inaugurated the governing board of the institution for another term. The two-time chairman of the board, Professor Jofus Anamwa-Mensah, is calling on government to consider and support scientific breakthroughs made by Ghanaians to address most of the challenges faced by the country. Here's more in this report.
An 11-member governing board was inaugurated for the CSIR College of Science and Technology. Speaking to Joy Business, chairman of the board, Professor Jofus Anamwa-Mensah said, highlighting import substitution is one of the major initiatives he wants to achieve during his tenure. However, he indicated that support from the government would determine the pace at which this is achieved.
People. So we're saying that if the country is to really develop, we need science and technology and innovation. And this is the place where the action is. This is the place where you have all the qualified people in the various areas, to help develop, the country. If they are listened to, it will be very, very, beneficial for the country, because the innovations they come out with can then be, put into action. The way the world is going now, we don't know what is going to happen. We need to develop certain things ourselves. There are certain things that are locally available. You mentioned the fact that, yes, we have cassava, which we can produce flour from, so that we don't depend upon just one source, and that's wheat, for our bread.
CSIR Council Chairman and representative of the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Robert Kingsley Adabo, charged the board to ensure that graduates from the college become problem solvers that can shape a better future for Ghana.
It's my hope that this college will not just become an institution that is to extend the real mission and vision of CSIR, but go and become a center of excellence. We have to do things a little bit differently. Not just churning out people with academic degrees, but people with skills to be able to impact and move this country forward. The wisdom of those in CSIR have mapped out and found that there is actually some niche or gap that needs to be filled by the establishment of this college. That is why it is set up. So its impact should be felt nationally and possibly globally.
Meanwhile, the youngest member of the governing board, who is also a member of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Stefan Nwole Jr., shared the role of AGI on the board.
I'm a representative from AGI on this board, and because we understand the challenges of the businesses and how we can contribute, our representation on this board means that we are going to help the institution to come up with certain kind of policy or courses that would help the institution grow, because we can collaborate very well and bring our experience to.
And that's business for now. Stay tuned. Sports is coming up next. Don't go anywhere.